Hello, good evening to you and welcome to News Tonight here on GHOne TV. I'm Natalie. In the headlines tonight. Auditor-General's report cites livelihood empowerment against poverty secretariat of paying grants to families of deceased beneficiaries. This comes weeks after some beneficiaries complained of late payment of grants to them. Tonight we will find out from the secretariat how this happened. Also ahead, High Court in Accra sets timelines for finishing ongoing trial of minority leader Dr. Kasiel Atto-Forson and Richard Jakpa in the ambulance case. Meanwhile, letters from the military high command presented in court reveals how third accused Richard Jakpa was allegedly dishonorably discharged from the force. Tonight on the election hub, Fitch Solutions predicts about 54% election victory for opposition NDC's John Mahama in latest polls. And ahead in business, Petoy Markets gets chips compound to boost health needs of traders. And in sports tonight, we shall tell you the story of ace Guinean goalkeeper Ali Jara and how he survived paralysis. The details of these and much more news right here on News Tonight. You can watch us all across the world on Facebook and X at GHOne TV. Top on the news this evening, the High Court in Accra, presided over by Justice Efia Sewa Asari Buttre, has set timelines for the closure of the ongoing ambulance case with November 15, 2024 fixed as the tentative date for judgment. The date was fixed after Richard Jakpa, the third accused person, called his first of 10 witnesses. Air Commodore Nana Edu Jemfi, military secretary to the Ghana Armed Forces, appeared in court as first defense witness for Jakpa upon his subpoena. Now, my colleague Murtala Inusa is our legal affairs correspondent, has been following this case since it began, and he joins us with more on this story. Murtala, good to have you. Good evening to you. Now, first of all, what more can you report on this case as it stands?
Well, Natalie, thank you very much for having me. As we do know, Richard Jakpa is in the witness box after his personal cross-examination and has been discharged. He's now calling witnesses, and he's indicated to the court that he'll be calling 10 witnesses. And at the 10 witnesses, some of them will come by way of subpoena. Subpoena means that these are accused persons, or these are witnesses, I beg your pardon, who initially do not want to come to court on their own, but they will need the intervention of the court to bring them to come and testify. And the first of the 10 witnesses that he has listed by way of the subpoena is the secretary to the military, or military secretary, Air Commodore Edu Jemfi. He was in court today, rightly so. In fact, he was supposed to come with the chief of defense staff, but the court was informed that the hearing notice was not served on the chief of defense staff on time. He only received that this morning. So clearly, it was only the military secretary, Air Commodore Edu Jemfi, who has to come to court today. And his testimony, in fact, if you look at the posture of the witness, somebody who is supposed to testify for Mr. Richard Jakpa, the third accused person, clearly you know that this is a witness that is hostile to the accused person himself, because the kind of engagement that he had with lawyer for Richard Jakpa, Thaddeus Sorry, you rather think that Thaddeus Sorry is the one that is cross-examining him, because what the lawyers of Thaddeus Sorry want to communicate is that during the Richard Jakpa's cross-examination by state prosecutors, particularly on how he was sacked from the military, tried to create the impression that Mr. Jakpa did not put out a good behavior. That is how come he was released by the military. So they are bringing this witness to come and tell the court that if you look at the military regulations and how Mr. Jakpa was released, it is not as being communicated to the court by the Attorney General. So this witness was in court to come and disprove that. However, it turned out to be that he came with two letters, and one of them has to do with how the military view the conduct of Mr. Richard Japa vis-a-vis how he was released. And the second one also pointed the fact that within the military setting, in some way, sometime in 2001, I beg your pardon, when Mr. Japa was then with the military, he was giving some staff loan, which he has to make payment. But of course, upon that loan was given to him, payment was not done, repayment was an issue. So all these issues coupled with his conduct, his behavior, what he described as unprofessionalism, conduct by Mr. Japa led to why the military, as it were, released him off at that post. So these are some of the things that the witness, in fact, today came to court. The indisciplined nature of Mr. Japa was what he came to court to come and tell the court about. He ended his evidence in chief and was subjected to cross-examination by the Attorney-General, Godfred Yebu-Adami. It was at that point that the two letters that we are talking about were tendered in evidence and sealed marked and was admitted into evidence. However, his testimony has ended. He has been discharged to go. I remember that Mr. Japa still has some 9 more witnesses to call. One of them who happens to be the second accused person, Dr. Sylvester Ademana, who was at the point in time released or discharged because of the fact that the Attorney General filed a nolle prosequi. He said that he wanted Mr. Japa, Mr. Ademana, to come to court and speak. Justice Efia-Sewa Sariboche said that Mr. Japa was in court. Everybody saw his behavior, the fact that he was unwell, that even led to him being discharged. The court said it will not welcome that particular idea for Mr. Japa to call Sylvester Ademana. So the court said that will not be allowed. They should look for a replacement. So based on what the judge has said and the remaining witnesses, Justice Efia-Sewa Sariboche gave a clear timeline, particularly with the current Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Aban Babi, set to appear in court on October 8th. And Natalie, it is October 8th because we are in the month of July. And by the 31st of July, the judiciary, I must say, will be embarking on a 2-month legal vacation. This very current legal year will end on the 31st of July. So from the 1st of August to the last day in September is going to be a legal vacation. So this case, the next time that the case will come on at the end of this month will be in October, where Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament is expected to appear before the court to testify. The court look at the situation, give timeline for the other witnesses to appear, and eventually fixed November 15 as a tentative date for judgment to be delivered in relation to this whole ambulance cases. So clearly, Justice Efia-Sewa's court is making progress, has set timelines, and the timelines have projected November 15 to deliver judgment in this matter.
Very well, Murtala. Now, briefly, give us clarity as to why exactly the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, is expected to be mounting the witness box. Why is that the case?
So for those who remember, the issue that we are talking about, the ambulance issue that is being talked about, happened sometime between 2013, 2014, and 2015. And at 2013, I beg your pardon, it was Alban Bagbin who was the Minister for Health at the time. So he made the point that Mr. Current Speaker of Parliament has information that will be useful to the court to assist the court to come to a determination of this very matter. It is based on this that Mr. Richard Japa and his lawyer think that bringing Alban Bagbin, who is currently the Speaker of Parliament, assists the court greatly to come to a determination that he, Richard Japa, is not guilty for the offense charge, i.e. to say that he has assisted or supported the state or the first accused person, Dr. Kasila, to force him to willfully cause financial loss to the state in the tune of 2.37 million euros. So that is the role that he said Alban Bagbin played, for which reason he wants him in court to come and give evidence to support his case.
Very well. Murtala Inusa, legal affairs correspondent. Thank you. Certainly more on this case in the days ahead. And Murtala Inusa will be bringing us the very latest on that issue as it develops. In other news this evening, Teacher Trainees Association is appealing to the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission to immediately shut down all the 46 colleges of education until concerns of CETAG members are addressed. Members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana remain on strike despite an injunction filed by the National Labour Commission, which has been adjourned to August 6, 2024. Academic and administrative activities in the 46 colleges of education across the country for the past 5 weeks have come to a complete halt, leaving the future of the academic calendar uncertain. GHOne News checks reveal that a student of the Atebu College of Education has allegedly died as a result of porous security on campus. Members of CETAG say until the government implements the arbitration award, which was given to the association on May 2, 2023 by the National Labour Commission, they will not call off the industrial action. Now, President of TTAG, that's the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, Swale Razak, joins me over the telephone for more on this development. Good evening to you, Swale. I believe you are hearing me. Now, first of all, you are worried that the injunction application has been adjourned to August 6. Specify what exactly your concerns are as it pertains to this.
Yes, good evening. Good evening to all your lovely viewers, and good evening to all teacher trainees across all the 46 public colleges of education. Yes, the current situation has left us very worried because it is the least we expect to have happened today, because all hopes were hinged on the outcome of the interaction between CETAG and the National Labour Commission today at court. But it's quite unfortunate that this has happened and that the case has been adjourned to August 6, which is leaving most teacher trainees across all the colleges stranded at this point.
Very well. So that's what your concern is as it pertains to that adjournment. Now, the association is appealing to the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission to immediately shut down these 46 colleges of education. Why exactly should these schools be shut down?
Well, that is the last thing we would be calling for, because we as students or as trainees that are directly affected by this strike action, the last thing we call for is a shutdown of the colleges of education. Why? Because if the colleges are being shut down, that would mean we are throwing away the academic calendar, and then whatever that was expected to be completed within this year would have to be completed next year. And that would pose additional work to us as students and equally additional work to the membership of CETAG. So it is really the last thing we are calling for. If there is any other thing that the ministry and then the Minister of Education and all the stakeholders involved can do to salvage the situation so that our teachers will be back to the classroom as soon as possible, it is that measure we'll be calling for. Because at this point, that teacher trainees are left stranded in the colleges with serious effects that is to our academics, to economics, and also to security in the colleges.
Swale Razak, thank you for the updates on this issue. We'll be engaging in subsequent bulletins as it develops. President of the association joining us there, that's the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. Next on News Tonight, we bring you Insight. So tonight on Insight, we are focusing on the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program. Now, this social protection program is meant to help vulnerable groups in society living in abject poverty, but it has been faced with a myriad of problems, including delays in payment. However, this time, it is not about how the grants have delayed in reaching beneficiaries, but rather how some persons who are not worthy of receiving the cash managed to get paid by the Secretariat. The Auditor-General's report says the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP Management Secretariat paid cash grants to caregivers of 44 deceased beneficiaries. This happened over a period of 3 to 8 years, totaling some 84,480 cedis. The grants were paid to secondary caregivers who are allowed by the LEAP program to receive cash grants on behalf of beneficiaries who are unable to collect their cash grants themselves during payment cycle events. The report concluded the LEAP Management Secretariat did not update the LEAP register to remove dead beneficiaries as a result of poor monitoring, among other reasons. Now, what are the details of the Auditor-General's report? Well, my colleague, Tutu Adanso, is here to help us with that and to run us through the details of this report. Tutu, a very concerning development here, really.
Very
concerning.
I was going through the report and I was shocked to find out that monies meant for persons who are vulnerable in society have been diverted. People have decided to take advantage of it. So let me just run you through quickly what the report says. And it says that the LEAP Management Secretariat paid cash grants to secondary caregivers of dead beneficiaries of one member, one households. It also goes on to say that the LMS or the LEAP Management Secretariat did not graduate or exit LEAP beneficiaries, and the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection did not ensure LEAP agencies adhered to fund utilization and guidelines. Now, the report concludes by saying that the operations units of the LEAP Management Secretariat did not provide the information needed by the case management units of the updates, the LEAP register to remove dead beneficiaries. Now, although the DSWOs and CFPs could carry out their duties of identifying dead beneficiaries, they failed to do so to poor monitoring and reporting by the operations units of the LEAP Management Secretariat. And this led to the payment of 84,480 Ghana cedis to people who were not on the beneficiaries register. The recommendations of the report says that now, to ensure that the DSWOs and CFPs improve on their monitoring of beneficiaries through periodic visits and requests for information from the community members on cases of dead beneficiaries at payment cycle events, and also to ensure that the case management unit updates the register with all cases of dead beneficiaries before payment. So, Natalie, essentially quite brief, but quite detailed as well, because I remember the previous time that I was here to talk about LEAP, I was talking about the fact that the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection had indicated that the grants were going to be increased for over 100%. And also in February, there were complaints about people not receiving their grants being in arrears. And so to find out that there were some ghost names on the register, it's quite worrying, because we are denying the real or legitimate people of receiving their grants to help support themselves. And so, Natalie, this is what the report had to say about the LEAP grants.
Thank you so much, Tutu, for running us through that. As you say, very concerning. Really an issue of poor monitoring in this case, and the implications are dire. Now, joining us via Zoom to further discuss this is Jalil Udom. He's the Executive Director of Inclusive Ghana. He joins for a conversation on this subject. Good evening to you, Jalil. I believe you heard my colleague Tutu running us through the details of this LEAP report. Now, what do you make of the payment of grants to relatives of deceased persons under the LEAP program, really costing those who should actually be getting this payment themselves?
Yes, good evening to your esteemed viewers and listeners. I think that this is quite a worrying situation. I think that the government, or through the LEAP Management Secretariat, is to be monitoring these grants, right, and particularly through the district social welfare officers and community focal persons. I think that for us to get to this point, it means that something is not happening. Either we have not tightened the monitoring systems, or we are not monitoring enough to be able to get some of this information. And so it is quite worrying. And the fact that also people are not, getting, their LEAP grants even on time. I guess it's a situation that we need to discuss more and find solutions to it.
Certainly, Jalil. Now, one big benefit of the program is the timely payment of these grants, right? And as you just highlighted, it suffered from delays in payments of grants to beneficiaries over a long period of time. Will you say that these delays have sort of defeated the purpose of the LEAP program in its entirety?
Obviously, I think that the delays, worries, the object of the program, because you want regular and consistent payments to ensure that people can be able to use the money for very good purposes and be able to get out of poverty. Of course, there are some people who may never be able to get out of poverty, like persons with disabilities who do not have productive capacity, or older persons who do not get support from others. But there are people like orphans and vulnerable children who, at some point they get a job and things like that, and they are supposed to get out of poverty. So consistently, when you're giving these people regular payments, they'll be able to, get, the very basic things. And the group of people we are talking about are to get very basic things. That is what the essence of this LEAP payment is about. And so if it is not coming regularly, it means that somebody is not eating. It means that somebody is not able to purchase their medicines. It means that somebody is owing another and so cannot pay.
Absolutely.
And by the time it will come, if this funds have accrued over time, it means that it will not be useful as it would have come regularly.
Absolutely. Clearly multiplying the challenges of these beneficiaries. Now, we've also had the Secretariat say that they have begun disbursement of these grants. That was from last week. Has your organization been monitoring the disbursements so far? Can you clarify as to how much has been disbursed?
Obviously, I think that this time around, the funds that are going to households are good enough.
Right.
It has been doubled from what was doubled last year. Right now, if you look at a one-member household, the grant used to be 128 Ghana cedis. Bi-monthly meaning that every 2 months, they get 128. Now it's been doubled, so they're getting about 256. So if it's a two-member household, we are talking about 152, which has been doubled, making it about 304. A three-member household is about 176, which has been doubled, making it 352. And then a four-member household, 212, which has been doubled to 424. But if you look at these amounts, in as much as it's been doubled,
yes,
it is still very little amount. For 2 months, depending on it, for food and for basic, things like medicine, going to get very basic things like, a sanitary pad and things like that. So I think that it's quite a worrying situation.
Right. Now, Jalil, briefly, in rounding up, when we look at, as a country, our social inclusion programs in general, such as LEAP, how would you rate their performance and how impactful are they? What more should we be doing to ensure that they actually benefit us as a people?
I think that it's great that we have social protection interventions. And I think that so far, if you compare what we are doing in Ghana with other countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, we are doing well. But I guess that the denominator question that people are asking is the inclusion and exclusion errors. There are people who are included who are not supposed to be getting, and those who are getting, who are supposed to get out. So I think that we need to improve on our monitoring systems. That will be very helpful, and also making these payments very regular. I think when we do these things, I think that the social protection interventions will go so well.
Very well. Jalil Udom, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Executive Director of Inclusive Ghana, joining us for a conversation on that issue regarding the LEAP program. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Do stay with us. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV, and we are your election hub. Not all battles are fought in the boxing ring. Some are fought behind the podium. With words, Ghana since the year 2000 has been keen on presidential debates. It is a means to send a message to the electorate beyond the manifesto. However, after a long pause from the battle of words, calls are becoming rife for another debate. The question is, will the strong opponents have a consensus to match each other? Well, Eko Boache reports.
Since being declared flag bearers of Ghana's biggest rival in political parties, John Mahama and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have been taking swipes at each other.
When Vice President Bawumia was saying, our economic management team, we have Professor John Bafo, we have Alan Chiramate, we have Honorable Osafo Mafo, we have Ken Oforiata. What a solid team. What a solid team, Enya.
Muduka Munyi Fatias, Mubasi, say YouTube na. Bahakaba. Malam John.
All this in a bid to sell themselves worthy to the voting public as the next president of Ghana.
I promise to lead the change, and I invite you to be part of the change.
But are Ghanaians liking what's on display? An unstructured discourse with no guide, unclear direction, and no means to keep proper scores. Let's go back in time, in the year 2000, where the Institute of Economic Affairs hosted all aspirants of the year's election. The well-attended debates debuted with all aspirants save the then Vice President Professor John Evans Atta Mills, who doubled as the flag bearer of the sitting party, the National Democratic Congress. Professor Mills went on to lose that election and the next, both to the New Patriotic Party's John Kufuor. Despite winning the election in 2004, Kufuor had not partaken in the year's debate, throwing a jinx into the myth that could have blamed electoral losses on debate absenteeism. The 2008 presidential debate had no incumbent president on the bill. The aspirants got the opportunity to debate on a somewhat level ground, which preceded Professor Mills's win in that December's poll. The next debate by the Institute of Economic Affairs was held in 2012. With better structures in place, the debate was introduced to moderators who were tasked to ask questions and drive the direction of the event. Interestingly, the two moderators will go on into political careers. Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, a celebrated academic, became the Minister for Education in the next government and subsequently the 2020 and 2024 running mate for the National Democratic Congress. The other moderator, Kojo Opon-Kroma, who was then a journalist, will go on to become Member of Parliament for Ofuase Ayorebi and Deputy Minister for Information, then Substantive Minister for Information, and subsequently Minister for Works and Housing. The debate saw then incumbent President John Mahama representing the National Democratic Congress, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Abu Sakara, then representing the Convention's People's Party, and Dr. Hassan Ayariga, then of the People's National Convention. It was thrilling to have a certain president join the aspirants for the debate. This worked against the perception that certain presidents use the debate as a conduit to win the elections and then decide not to engage in further debates.
But to look at the symptom rather than the cure, I think for a person who has such legal training, I think it's a bit misread. I can understand that if we are desperate to win political power, we take any instrument and we use it against our political opponents.
If you are committed to the fight of against corruption, you yourself, of course, must not be corrupt.
But we all are involved in maintaining peace and controlling crimes.
First of all, the issue of decentralization is important to decentralize even the corruption.
In the year 2016, the Institute of Economic Affairs held its town hall presidential debate, which only saw 3 presidential aspirants seated: Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum of the PPP, Jacob Osei-Yeboah, an independent candidate, and Dr. Edward Mahama of the PNC. John Mahama, who was incumbent president, and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of the opposition MPP failed to show up.
So everybody needs to make a personal stand on corruption. It is no longer acceptable to stand somewhere and say, I'm not corrupt.
The results of that year's election led to Mahama losing to Akufo-Addo. Since then, the debates have been on hold. Both the NPP and the NDC pointed fingers at each other for not wanting to debate. Now, interestingly, calls are loud from none other than the same man who directed John Mahama to go debate the people.
He's running away from a debate. He doesn't want to debate because he knows I will expose the emptiness of his policies.
This is statement the NDC flag bearer spokesperson, Joyce Bawa-Muktari, deems as not a priority, but should be targeted at Dr. Bawumia, rather fixing the economy. Meanwhile, Deputy National Communications Officer for the National Democratic Congress, Malik Basintale, says John Mahama has been ready for this since 2020 and has been calling to no avail.
President Mahama called for a debate. His party, together with his boss, Akufo-Addo, they wrote a letter telling us they will not engage in a debate. You remember, Sewa? We are fully ready for any debate.
Question is, will the strongest opponents bid to the call and give Ghana a showdown? This is Echo Watch's report for GHOne TV and Star FM.
We'll be following that and see what happens in the coming days. Still on elections, international data and research firm Fitch Solutions is predicting that the opposition NDC is likely to win the upcoming 2024 elections as a result of the recent economic challenges facing the country. A number of local polls have put the opposition in the lead as the country is barely 5 months away from the election. But speaking at the Fitch Solutions Sub-Saharan Africa Macroeconomic Update, Associate Director, Country Risk BMI, Mike Kruniger, says with economic management and job creation being the most important issues during the election for voters, he believes this will put the ruling MPP at a disadvantage.
Pressure on household finances will gradually moderate, which will result in solid consumer spending. In addition, business sentiment appears to be improving in Ghana, which will lead to a gradual recovery in fixed investment. And I think it's also worth mentioning here that we expect the government to ramp up public spending ahead of the December general election, a trend that we have seen during previous election cycles in Ghana. And by doing so, the government will essentially inject additional demand into the economy. So we believe that the opposition, National Democratic Congress, or NDC, has a stronger chance of winning the upcoming general election compared to the ruling party, the ruling New Patriotic Party, NPP. So recent polls consistently place the NDC ahead, with the most recent survey showing 54% of respondents favoring the NDC, as you can see on the right-hand side chart. In addition, multiple surveys have shown that economic management and job creation are going to be the most important issues during the election for voters, which we believe will put the ruling NPP at a disadvantage given the economic challenges that the country has faced over the last couple of years. In terms of what a government change will mean for the economy, we think that policy direction under a likely NDC government would remain largely unchanged, really.
London-based firm Fitch Solutions with that report there. Now, in some more election-related stories, parliamentary candidates for the opposition National Democratic Congress in the Ayawaso West Wogun, John Dumelo, has vowed that the party will resort to the court for a verdict on the outcome of the 2024 election. Unlike in 2020, when the party contested the outcome of the election at the Supreme Court, the actor and entrepreneur is confident that the NDC will form the next government with a majority in parliament by ensuring vigilance at every polling station. John Dumelo was speaking at a mini Durbar at the La Bauleshi electoral area, where NDC flag bearer John Mahama paid a courtesy visit.
Ayawaso West Wogon will be declared NDC on the 7th of December 2024. I am the next member of parliament for Ayawaso West Wogon. And President Mahama is coming back. Just like I contested in 2020, I have come back to contest. And I will win this seat for the NDC for us to move forward. Your Excellency, Ayawaso West Wogon is united more than ever. We have stopped fighting. The only people we are fighting now is the MPP. And we are vigilant. And I want to assure you that all those who vote for us, your vote will be protected. We are not going to court. We don't have time on the 7th or after 7th December to go to court. Our court is the polling station. Our judges will be at the polling station. Our lawyers will be at the polling station. Our votes will be protected and we shall count each ballot for the NDC. And so, be rest assured, we are winning this seat.
Hello, speaking there now, the chairperson of the John Mahama campaign in the Amenfi Central constituency, Madame GHOne Cudjoe, is convinced that the National Democratic Congress, NDC, will poll a 98% of the votes in the December 7 parliamentary and presidential elections. Madame GHOne Cudjoe made this assertion while presenting 2 Toyota Hilux pickups to aid in the campaign of the 2024 elections.
In the lead-up to the 2024 general election, the National Democratic Congress is garnering resources in their quest to win power. However, in the Amenfi Central constituency, the party's elected parliamentary candidate, GHOne Cudjoe, has been barred by a secondary high court from holding herself as the parliamentary candidate yet, as her legitimacy is being challenged. Despite this hurdle, GHOne Cudjoe, who doubles as the chairperson of the John Mahama campaign in Amenfi Central, has presented 2 Toyota Hilux pickups to the constituency. According to her, the court case will not be an impediment as they are poised to deliver a 98% victory for the NDC.
We've always been over 50% difference in a percentage-wise, and I believe that this time it's going to be 95% or 98%. That's what we are working hard to get it.
The Western Regional Chairman of the NDC, Nana Kojo Toku, reiterated that the party's fortunes in the Amenfi Central remain unblemished, adding that the vehicles will help boost their campaign.
Central is an emerging seat for the NDC. MPP has never won that seat before, and we hope to maintain it because it is a traditional seat for us in the Western region. Whatever has happened is a human institution. Sometimes anything can happen at any point in time. But we are still managing to resolve them, and whatever that has left out, we'll bring all of them on board and we'll make sure the party works and works well and make sure we retain our seats as we used to do always.
Now here on GH1 TV, Star 103.5 FM and across all our sister stations, we'll bring you the very latest ahead of the 2024 general elections here on your election hub. You're watching News Tonight. You've got business news next. In business tonight, stakeholders of the Economic, Social and Cultural Council, ECOSOC, of the African Union have charged African leaders to be accountable and transparent by putting the needs of the citizens at the center of their governance. During the 20th anniversary of ECOSOC, former Prime Minister of Mali, Moussa Mara, detailed the critical role of ECOSOC over the past 20 years and called for a more practical outlook of policies in future endeavors.
The Economic, Social and Cultural Council, ECOSOC, of the African Union, which was established in July 2004, is an advisory organ composed of different social and professional groups of AU member states. The mandate of ECOSOC is to contribute through advice to the effective translation of the objectives, principles and policies of the African Union into concrete programs. At its 20th anniversary held in Accra, Head of the ECOSOC Secretariat, William Carroll, reaffirmed the Council's commitment of putting African citizens at the center of the continental developmental agenda.
Despite the establishment of a robust normative framework like the African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance, the Africa Governance Architecture Framework, and the AU Constitutive Act, we continue to witness a worrying trend of military coups and democratic backslides. The recent unilateral withdrawal of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso from ECOWAS are stark reminders of the urgent need for effective implementation of democratic norms and institutional reforms.
Commenting on the issue of the recent uprising of the youth in Kenya against their government, former Prime Minister of Mali, Moussa Mara, in an interview, urged African leaders to be transparent and draw close to the citizens to avert such agitations.
Talk about what is happening in Kenya. One of the big topics is the unawareness of people about what is being done in the leadership level, in the financial level. We need to reduce that and to put more transparency on our leadership. The third is to put the public interest above the private interest of the leaders, private interest of the families, the relatives, the members of political parties. The interests of people should drive the public policies.
The 20th anniversary coincides with the rollout of the second 10-year implementation plan of Agenda 2063, recalling the vision of the African Union. The event convened a diverse group of stakeholders, including representatives from civil society organizations, policymakers, government officials, and private sector stakeholders, academia, and international development partners.
Traders in the Petoi market in the Agotime Ziope district of the Volta region are breathing a sigh of relief as a brand new chips zone facility has been completed in the heart of the market, promising to bridge the long-standing healthcare gap that has left them vulnerable. For years, the absence of a proper health facility forced traders and residents to rely on makeshift services under a mango tree. But the newly built facility, championed by Member of Parliament for the area, Charles Agbevi, is set to improve healthcare access for both traders and residents in the community.
For many years, traders and residents around the Petoi market have been confronted with a huge gap in accessing basic healthcare services as a result of the unavailability of a standard health facility in the area. Regular weighing of children and basic health services were delivered under a mango tree in the market. But this challenge is expected to be a thing of the past following the completion of the CHIPS compound facility by the Member of Parliament for the area, Charles Agbeve.
Where Petro Market is located is very far off the nearest health facility, which is the Petro Health Center. And so if there's an incident, you have to quickly mobilize and get someone to ferry this potential patient to the nearest facility. If we don't take time and there's no first aid given to this person, the person may lose their life. We are starting with a facility that will render OPD services, antenatal services, ANC services, and some few OPD services maybe that you can detain the patient for a while and examine before you transfer or you refer.
Though the facility has now been completed, the District Director of Health for the area revealed that the facility can only start operations when the necessary installations are done and handed over to the Directorate.
When it comes to staff, already there are assigned staff because of the way the chip concept operates. So there are already assigned staff for the zone. So what it means is that we have staff who are ready to work here as and when we start operationalizing the place. The only critical issue is now the logistics and equipment to make the place fully operational. So for now, we are not really up to speed when it comes to equipment. However, I think in discussions with the MP, he has given a very good feedback saying that he's ready to ensure that the place is fully equipped to start operationalizing as soon as possible.
Some traders in the Kpetwe market have been reacting to the new development.
We have been suffering in the market for a very long time. Sometimes the rain disturbs our weighing sessions. Sometimes too, pregnant women ran into labor here in the market, but there was no convenient place to attend to them. But now, with the help of the MP, we can now boast of a permanent, convenient structure where we'll be attended to. The MP has caused several positive changes since he came into office. At some point, he caused the nurses to come to our homes to weigh our children for us. But with this structure in the market now, we are happy. We are assured that when we bring our children for weighing, we'll have a safer place to be attended to. We are grateful. May God strengthen him.
The facility, according to the MP, will be expanded in the future to meet other health needs of the people in the area. For GHOne News, Faisal.
And that's all the business news we've got for you this evening. We've got sports news coming up shortly. Do stay. You're welcome back. Now, my colleague Monica Bukhari is geared up to bring you the latest in sports. Monica, what have you got for us tonight?
Natalie, many might be wondering what has become of Ghanaian legend Ali Jara after he was struck down by illness. Well, the good news is he has been up to something great after he was being paralyzed. Now, Nana Ama Ajiman, my colleague, has filed some reports with him, and I'll bring you details of that shortly. What do you do when life gives you lemons? It's a cliche, right? Sure, you make lemonade, but that's often easier said than done. Many people give up when faced with some challenges. Nana Ama Ajiman, my colleague, tells the inspiring story of Ali Jara, a Ghanaian football legend from the 1990s who faced immense adversity when he became paralyzed. Instead of giving up, Ali picked up the pieces of his life and now trains goalkeepers. He also serves as the technical director of the award-winning national amputee team, the Black Challenge.
Thank you so much, Monica. Certainly a very inspiring story, a need for us to support our own. Now, on that note, that's how we draw the curtains on News Tonight this evening. Thank you so much for making the time. It was produced by Musa Lanza. I'm Natalie Fort. Have a good evening.